I knew a guy, because he was living in the UK illegally. He had overstayed his visa and stuff. He was arrested by the deportation people, and he was locked up and marked for deportation back to his home country. So he asked them, the deportation people, whatever they're called, that can he go home and pack his stuff and get some money since he's been, and they said no, no chance. You're going straight from here to the airport to be shipped back home. So he can't go back home to go and pack his stuff. And this guy had a lot of things. He'd lived here for years, so he had bought so many things. His flat was full of really expensive stuff, new stuff and things. So he contacted his friends one by one and said, okay, this is his situation, this is his predicament, can they help? So he said, can they go, you know, to this one? He said, this is the papers to my car. The car is almost brand new, less than a year old. These are the papers. Can you sell the car and bring the money to me somehow, so at least I can have some money when I go back? To another, can you go to my flat and sell my widescreen TV and bring money? And so he started, you know, telling his friends, can you do this and can you do this, and just bring the money because I need money. And he doesn't know how long he's going to be away before he's able to come back. And all those things are just going to be there, taken over by whoever takes over his flat. So the friends agreed and they started selling his stuff for him, you know, rushing up and down and helping him as good friends do. But however, when this one will bring the money, it will say a car that's worth, say, £5,000, even if he wants to sell it in a rush, maybe £3,000, because it was still quite new. He would say they only bought it for £500, which, you know, it just sounds bizarre. It cannot happen. No matter how desperate you are, they will not buy it for £500. It will be more than that. You know, it will be more than that. He would say they only bought it for £500. He will give him the £500. The other friend will come and say, you know, your widescreen telly that was worth £1,000, somebody only bought it for £20. Sorry, you know, they said that's what they're going to pay. So they were all doing that. And this guy was perplexed, thinking these are his friends. And they are now using the opportunity he has to treat him in that way. So they made money out of that guy because he was in that situation. Now, will God look at these people and be happy with them? No, he will not. You cannot kick a man when he's down. God frowns at that. Remember Obadiah, when the Edomites, they were rejoicing over the calamity of Israel, their brothers. What did God do? God was really vexed with the Edomites and said, because of what they have done, he's going to punish them for that. They are not supposed to rejoice at the calamity, at the downfall of their brothers. Likewise, we Christians, if we see another Christian fall and you rejoice over it, God will not be pleased. God will not be pleased at all, because that is not the time for you to now come and rejoice at the downfall of another. You know, what makes you any better? What makes you any different? So this is what we are now going to see in this part of the book of Ezekiel. We're now in the second part, where Ezekiel will pronounce judgment against the nations who rejoiced at Israel's downfall, against the nations who are enemies of Israel. He will now pronounce judgment on them. So we're going to go into that. So to Ammon, they were glad when Israel was destroyed. They even joined in with Babylon to fight against Judah. So in 2 Kings 24:2, even though God had allowed Ammon to join with Babylon, they were heavy-handed. So if God allows you, you know, uses you, and you are heavy-handed, he will now punish you afterwards. That yes, even though I told you to do this, you should not have done it in that way. So you were wicked. God says here that he will destroy Ammon. So they rejoiced when the temple was destroyed. They were so happy. They rejoiced when the Israelites were taken off into exile. So what did God do? God used the Babylonians, the ones who took Israel away, to destroy the Ammonites. That now you come and see how it is. Are you rejoicing now? Are you clapping and laughing now? No, you are not. Moab, there was a judgment against Moab. They laughed when the Babylonians defeated Judah. And they were scoffing and mocking and saying that Israel is no different from other nations. You know, the other nations that Babylon had captured, Israel are no better, no different from them. So in effect, what they were saying is the God of Israel is the same as the other gods of the other nations. Because those other nations relied on their gods and still they were defeated. And Israel relied on their God, Yahweh, and still they were defeated. So what they are saying is there's no difference between Yahweh and those other gods, because Israel was defeated by Babylon, forgetting that it's God himself who are using Babylon to punish Judah because of their disobedience and because of their idolatry. So God says, okay, I will show you if I am the same as the gods of those other nations. God used the Babylonians to destroy Moab. Edom, as we have seen in the book of Obadiah, Edom are brothers to Israel. Edom is from Esau. Israel is from Jacob. Jacob and Esau, they are twins. They are brothers. But you know, because of this bowl of porridge business, and Jacob took the birthright, well, Esau gave it away really cheaply. He didn't take it, but well, he did use cunning devices to take it. Edom had never forgiven Israel for this. Because as far as they are concerned, this covenant that Israel has with God should have rightfully been theirs as the firstborn. So if our uncle, Jacob, had not deceived our dad, Esau, we wouldn't have been in this situation. So Edom were happy. They were laughing. They even joined in with the Babylonians against their own brothers. If they saw an Israelite hiding, Edom will call the Babylonians, come, come, come. See, one is hiding under the bed. One is hiding in the wardrobe. They will show the Babylonians where they are. If one is trying to escape, Edom will call a Babylonian. See, one is hiding, is climbing the wall. Quick, quick, quick. And the Babylonians will capture that person. God was looking. He says, you will see what I will do to you. Because of that, these are your brothers, your cousins. And see what you did. You joined in with the enemy against them. It would have been better if you had not said anything at all. God said that he will destroy Edom. And they were. Philistia, the Philistines. Ezekiel also pronounced judgment against them. That they were cruel to Israel. You know, the Philistines, they were always just there. They were really thorns in the side of the Philistines. They were their nemesis, you know, the Philistines. Even when the Israelites will plant and the time for harvest, they will come and take everything. The Philistines were just there at their beck and their call. God promised to destroy them, and he did. Tyre was a commercial city. Tyre saw an opportunity to steal Jerusalem's customers. All they cared about was money, wealth. So when they saw that Jerusalem had fallen, they saw that the customers who normally go to Jerusalem for business transactions and stuff, now I can steal them. Tyre said, yeah, they are now ours. We can have all that custom. All that business will be ours. So they rejoiced in that downfall because of their own selfish gains. It's like you have a shop in the market. Someone else also has a shop. You're selling the same thing, and something or the other happened. Maybe their child is sick or whatever happens, and they can't come to the market. So all the customers are coming to you, and you are there praying that the child should continue being sick, so they won't come back on time, because you are making money, more money, because you're not the only shop in the market selling that kind of product that the other person is selling, and maybe their stock is cheaper. So people normally ply them. Now you're even using that as an opportunity. You increase the price. People don't have a choice because the other shop is closed. And you are now praying and saying, I hope they don't come back. Or I hope she dies. Or, you know, something like that. God is displeased. He's very displeased with that. And this is what Tyre were doing. So God said he's going to destroy Tyre. Even though they're a great nation. So many other smaller nations depended on Tyre. And Ezekiel was saying that when Tyre is destroyed, when it's falling, these other small nations will be shocked, and they will be really, really scared, because they look at Tyre as a very strong nation. They look up to it. They depend on that city. They are going to be shocked. and Tyre did fall. I think it was Alexander the Great pushed the whole city into the water, so it completely just vanished off the map. So Ezekiel sang a funeral song for Tyre. God pronounced judgment also against the king of Tyre, saying that he thinks he's a god. He's very, very proud. He will be punished. Sidon, another city, another nation, enemy of Israel, God will punish them. He will send diseases to Sidon, and blood will flow everywhere. And then God says that the Israelites, they will return. They will return. So all these people who are mocking and scoffing, they will return. You know, so if your brother has fallen and you are happy in the church, you are rejoicing, yeah, they have fallen, they have fallen. God says they will return. They will rise up again. And then where will you be then? You'll be ashamed because of your reaction. You know, you were not there to support the person. You'll be ashamed then. So are you not going to come in hypocrisy and be saying, oh, congratulations, I knew you would be back. I knew it's a lie. You know, God, you will be ashamed of it. So God is telling these nations that Israel, that you are mocking today, you are making fun of today, they will return to Israel. You know, and then you will know that I am the Lord. There was also a pronouncement against Egypt. The king of Egypt was proud. He said that he made the river Nile. You know, he likens himself to a crocodile because I think that was their god. You know, the god of the Egyptians. And God says that that crocodile will be caught, and all your fishes also will be caught. The fishes are the people of Egypt. All of you will be caught. You will never again will you become a strong nation, because you know those days most nations look to Egypt when they have a trouble. If there's any nation that comes to their nation to attack them, they will call upon Egypt to come and help. Always they look towards Egypt. Even Israel, they have run to Egypt after they came out of slavery there. They were still looking towards Egypt. They were a strong nation. God says that they will not be a strong nation like that. And God gave Egypt to Babylon as a reward. He said that because Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Tyre. And you know, Tyre was a really great city, and he fought for months before he was able to topple Tyre. So God gave Egypt to Nebuchadnezzar, to Babylon, as a reward. And Ezekiel sang a funeral song for Egypt. And once again, God is telling Ezekiel that he's a watchman for the people. He must warn them of impending danger. He must warn them if they are going astray. If he doesn't and they die in their sin, Ezekiel will be punished for it, which is the same as pastors today, which is the same for all Christians today. You see your brother, your sister going astray, and you decide to turn your blind eye and say, it's not my business, I have nothing to do with it. If they die in that sin, if they die in that iniquity, God will hold you accountable, because you knew of it, you knew what they were doing, but you chose not to say anything. That is not your business. It's their life. They can do what you want. God is saying here that if Ezekiel does not warn them, he will be held accountable for it. And then there was awful news. A runner came from Jerusalem to tell the people that Jerusalem had fallen. The temple has been destroyed. All the walls had been destroyed. It was such bad news because they were not expecting that. The Israelites in exile were not expecting that. They still felt that they will still go back. There will not be a third raid. And this was the third and final raid during the time of King Zedekiah. And Jeremiah was the last prophet. And this final raid happened. So they came and told them. But God said that the people in exile, they will return. So you can see that it would be like, return to what? Everything's destroyed. You know, but that was the prophecy that they will return. So Ezekiel, however, still prophesies again the people who are still living there, because not everybody was carted off. Some were poor, some were old, some ran to the hills, that they will die by the sword and by the disease, because they still not repented. That's the little people left there. They are eating meat with blood in it. They are worshipping idols still. You know, despite all this going on, you will think this is a time when they will call all the nations together and say, come, let's repent. Let's plead to God for forgiveness. Let's fast. let's, you know, wear sackcloth. No, they didn't do that. They still carried on with their iniquity. He's saying that they are sleeping with their neighbors' wives. They are killing people, innocent people. They will all die by the sword. So they will not remain there when the exiles are returned back to Israel. And then God talks about the false shepherds of Israel. Woe unto them. They don't look after the people. That's the sheep. They don't look after them. They don't defend the weak. They don't care about the sick. They kill the best sheep. You know, that's like a pastor maybe in your church, someone that you feel is opposing you, or you feel they're like popular in the church. You do all your means, all your cunning means to get them out. That's you kind of like killing the sheep. So God is talking here about those false shepherds. They will be punished because they did not look after the sheep. They are getting fat. They are eating the choicest meat, drinking the finest wines, dining and whining, while their sheep are languishing in poverty, in sickness. They are not looking after them. They are teaching them heresy in the church. They don't care about them. All they're telling them is, if you don't want it to be tight for you, bring your tithes. If you don't want it to be tough for you, bring all your money. And this poor woman will go to the pastor and say, this is the last money I have. You know, I need to feed my children. I don't even have transportation to go home. And he'll say, oh, ye of little faith. Didn't you hear of the widow of Zarephath? She gave her last to the prophet. And what happened? Didn't God just give it to me and have faith? God will double it for you. Just bring it. And the poor woman will give the money to the pastor who already has loot, and will walk all the way home and will start begging the neighbors. Instead of you to put your hand in your pocket and say, Madam, take, God will bless you, and add it to her. Even God will bless you more. No, you don't do that. You're not looking after the sheep. God has a message here for all of you. He says he will remove all of them, and he himself will become their shepherd, and he will look after his own people. And God will always look after his people. If they are in a place where they are not being looked after, God in his own way will remove his sheep from there and will look after them himself. You know, he said then he will send a good shepherd to Israel. You know, after they've gone back, he will send a good shepherd to Israel. We all know who that good shepherd is. So, and then there's the valley of dry bones vision that Ezekiel saw. This is the most popular chapter, chapter 37 in the book of Ezekiel. I think most churches preach this. Most Christians know about the valley of the dry bones. So he saw a vision. There was a valley which was full of dry bones, and God spoke to Ezekiel that, can these dry bones live? And he says, only you know. God tells him to speak his word upon these bones, and there was a loud noise, and there was a rattling sound, and bones came together, muscle came together, flesh came on the bones. You know, they were all lying down there, but they were still dead. Even though now all these parts of the body came together, they were still dead. And then God tells him to prophesy to the wind. You know, call the wind. So he called the wind from the north, the south, the east and west, you know, the four the corners of the earth. And the winds came, the breath went into the bodies, and they all became alive, and they stood up, and they were exceedingly large and mighty army. You see, they became powerful army because God opened the grave. So the vision was saying that God, those dry bones are like Israel. You know, the people thinking that there's no more hope for them. They are dead. They are dry. That's it. Nothing can happen. And God will bring Israel, will bring them all back together. So the winds is like from wherever they are scattered all over the world. That's the winds from the north, south, east and west. They will all come back together. And so that's the Aliyah that's currently going on, where they are identifying the Israelites all over the world, and they're all going back to Israel. So that's ongoing now. And so he saw a vision of God is going to join Israel and Judah back together. So the sticks, the two sticks, the ends together. He will join them back together. Remember, they separated under Rehoboam, Solomon's son, and be divided into two nations. So it became Israel and Judah. But God is saying they will come back together as one nation, as they were before, under Saul, under David, under Solomon. They will come back together. And God, and finally, God says he will destroy Gog and Magog, and Israel will bury their bodies, and there will be so many bodies. So they will just be there. It will take months for them to be buried, because they are quite a large people. And God will show his glory among the nations, and they will know that he is the Lord. So all those mocking and scoffing, God is showing them that he is the Lord. All this will be done for his glory. And when they see it, they will know that of a truth, he is not like the gods of other nations. He is the Lord of lords. He is king among kings. You know, he reigns forever. And we're going to stop here today. So we did 25 to 39. So we're going to do the final part later of Ezekiel. Then we'll go into Jeremiah, Lamentations, and then Isaiah will complete the Old Testament. Thank you for being with me still. Thanks for staying with me. Consider subscribing to my channel so that when I upload another video, you will get a notification straight away, and then you can watch. God bless you. Bye.